a retired news writer producer from ABC News Radio who took part in award-winning reporting for nearly 40 years and won a Writers Guild Award in 2007 for World News This Week. But in 2008, our guest, his life drastically changed. Welcome to this episode of Buddha Time.
The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
You must surrender to the beat.
Yeah, baby.
Have some hope and get up on your feet. Keep your faith in the right direction. Search your soul and gain reflection. Come on, people, do the Buddha Boogie with me.
Welcome to Buddha Time. Step up to the front of the line. This is a space where real stories meet real growth. This is where you'll hear from the people who are doing the work, showing up and finding light in the everyday grind. These aren't headlines. These aren't sidelines. These are soulful, down-to-earth conversations with people who inspire change on the front lines of life, recovery, healing, and community. So slow it down, tune it in, and find your own front line because it's Buddha Time. And now, here's your host, Tommy Buddha.
Oh, no. Have some hope and get up on your feet.
How's everybody doing? It's Buddha time.
Buddha Time, baby. Oh, my God.
Namaste, baby. All right.
I've really been enjoying your TikToks, man, and your Instagrams. Just awesome stuff.
Yeah,
really,
I'm on every day now.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm getting this hiss coming through. Oh, now it's gone.
There it is, and then it's gone.
Well, don't touch your microphone.
One of the things I'm going to try to do is not treat this like I've been doing, because if we just started this thing, I'm new to this, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And basically, yeah, thanks. I appreciate that you co-signed that I don't know what I'm doing, but I don't. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was actually writing a book called I Don't Know What I'm Doing. Don't buy this book. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm working on it. I still have it. So this is my life. I do things I don't know what I'm doing. But that being said, I've been treating this like I'm on Zoom. I'm acting as if there's nobody here but us three. And I'm hoping to God it's more than us three. I know I have one, my girlfriend. She'll check in. But besides that, I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Well.
So I want to press her,
There and we got Jeffrey over here, which we're going to be talking to here in a minute.
Yes,
he's listening.
Yeah, it will get two, right? And maybe he'll get his family to come on. The cat, bring the cat in. Cats like me, unfortunately.
Oh, well, yeah, they like me too. Cats and dogs both. I like gnomes though. I had a friend buy me a troll, and I said, "Dude, trolls are fictional. What are you doing?" He goes, "But gnomes are fictional." I go, "Oh, no, now you're meddling. now you're meddling." Hey, you know what time it is, Tommy?
What time is it?
It is time for this. 2, 3, 4. Come on.
It's time for some useless
And mindless info.
facts that mean absolutely
Nothing you know.
So hold on tight, it's gonna be wild. A total waste of time, like a playful child.
Yes, it is. It's time for useless and mindless information with Tommy Buddha. Tommy Buddha, what do you got?
I got a few things. Did you know elephants can't jump and octopuses have 3 hearts? And last but not least, Psycho was the first movie to show a toilet flushing.
What?
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. It's stuff that when I found that out, I was like, how the hell did I miss that?
See, our guest Jeffrey Veatch is going, why? Why?
So this is useless information. I understand.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Jeffrey, did you know that elephants can't jump?
I thought I saw a baby elephant jump once.
They're gonna
Twice. Not a high jump.
probably about as good as some of us.
They can't jump. That's apparently. Here's the thing about useless information. Nobody's going to check you.
No.
Who cares? Elephants can't jump. Really? Or either that, it'll be on Google. I'm going to tell you another one. The original name for Google was not Google. It was Back Rub.
What? Back rub?
Yeah.
Okay. That is very weird.
Eventually, they changed it because I have to read this. Google, which is the number 1 followed by 100 zeros.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where the hell that happened.
Jeffrey, you got anything that you would like to share that would make us feel so much smarter?
Well,
Or dumber. Yeah.
I'm waiting for the first question so I can figure out an intelligent answer.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, I got one, guys. I got one.
You got one?
Yeah. I shared this many, many years ago on one of the shows, probably 15, 20 years ago. I just thought of it today while I was cleaning part of the fish tank in the studio. It's where I get a lot of my inspiration, from the fish. And it was the story about, I don't remember what airline it was. I'm going to say maybe Braniff. I don't know if any of you remember Braniff Airlines. They
Yes.
transported military a lot, right?
Yeah.
And they were these ugly pea green or black or yellow, solid color planes. Well, there was a guy that had gone into the vestibule, the restroom, and he was in there a little bit longer than what was, normal. And so the stewardesses were knocking, and he wasn't answering. And so they finally were able to get in there. Lo and behold, the guy was hanging upside down by his belt. He wasn't hanging himself. He was just loitering upside down from one of the beams in the bathroom. And of course, airport security had to come because he didn't want to get down and all that. And this true story, when they pulled his license, his ID, just take a stab at what his name was.
He's a bat. Something with a bat, right?
Mr. James Lugosi. So I don't know if he was a relative of Bela Lugosi. Some people don't even know who that was. That was the original Count Dracula from Hollywood, right? But I thought, what does the guy think he's Bela Lugosi? I mean, who does this stuff? But yeah, it was fact checked back then, and it ended up being a true story. So I don't know. There you go.
I got one more before we move on.
Let's do it.
And I had to do that. I was testing it all day. It's impossible to hum when you hold your nose. And I got a big nose. I've been like,
I think so, maybe.
Well, dude, I can't do it.
that one.
I can't do it. That is very odd. Okay. Well, at the very least, you get everybody in the room trying it, right?
Conversation start.
Oh, my gosh. All right. That does it for useless and mindless information on this
Thanks very
episode
much.
of Buddha Time. We'll be back here in just a minute with our guest, Jeffrey Veatch. Wow, what a story you're going to hear. So don't go away. Let's close this portion out.
Nonsense, it's a marvelous ride. A total waste of time. Come join the fun side.
Hey there, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's show, a production of the world's oldest recovery talk and recovery music radio station, Take 12 Recovery Radio. But did you know that we have thousands of archive shows, recovery workshops, and recovery music, all available for you for fun and for free? So here's an idea. Right after this show, visit our website at take12radio.com and subscribe on any of the podcasting platforms listed there. Why not begin enjoying the best in recovery talk and recovery music, all at Take12Radio.com on your internet dial.
You're tuned into Buddha Time with the Monty Man and Tommy Buddha.
In the land, milk and honey, everyone's trying to get more money. And a blind man can see, most of them have more than me. Got to let it go. You can't make enough and you can't
Take it with you. Welcome back to the show. Hey, listen, I got to interject this really quick here. I'm getting that weird sound again. Hold on a second. Okay. Listen, if you're tired of all the character assassination on most social networking platforms, I got one for you that's just so positive and so very God-centered, very uplifting, motivational, music-wise, podcast-wise, and posting. And that is actssocial.com, ACTS social.com. Check them out. It's very, 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 very refreshing. And we all need some refreshing. All right. Tommy Buddha, introduce our guest here, buddy.
Well, I want to start by saying this is a gentleman that I met a few years back. Actually, when I first came back into the music scene, and Jeffrey Veatch here, and we were supposed to do some work together. We never did, but whatever. That doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, I didn't know all the things about him that I found out, most of it today, because I was really researching in the back, but I knew some of it. And then I said, man, you're an author, you're a producer, you're a writer, you were on ABC News, you did a movie, you made a movie, you also recorded your son's music, you put out an album. I mean, you're a competitive runner, you're a cyclist, and you cook, which is the thing that I want to know the most about. Are you going to be making anything today? So,
hey, Tommy, real quick, I hate to interrupt you. Try not to hit the desk or your computer or your mic because it's picking it up.
Okay.
It's like, bam. I know you get excited just like I do.
I'm telling you, I speak with my hands.
I know. Anyway, sorry about that.
So all those things, that's what you are, and you do, and you also were an advocate for going into schools, talking to children and kids about drug addiction, and you have a good reason for that. But before we get into that, I want to talk more about you just for a minute. You were 40 years with WABC News.
Well, actually, the ABC Radio Network News, which parallels the television news somewhat. So we wrote stories of national, international interest and sent them to a satellite where our affiliates picked it up. And we had other services that went with it. But I was a news writer, but I was also an interviewer. So I would interview newsmakers, people like that. And then I produced a show called World News This Week for a few years, which was a summary of the news for the week. And that was sent out to our affiliates every Friday. I don't know, they sent it out on Friday. It was supposed to be for the whole week. So we had to fudge it a little bit because they wanted to send it out on Friday.
All right. So when you were there, you won an award for that particular show, right? That was
Yes, which I was very proud of.
And what was that about? What was the award about?
So the Writers Guild of America puts out awards every year. There are a lot of different categories, and this was in the radio news category for World News This Week.
Okay, so you did that for 40 years, then you retired?
Well, I did a lot of different things for 40 years, but I did retire a few years back. And I wanted to spend my time, doing what we do with our nonprofit, and so my life took a big turn.
Right.
We had the daughter and a son, and I had a very talented son, and he was writing music and performing. He had big dreams, and he was walking the walk, not just talking the talk. he had recorded a few songs. He recorded a bunch of them. We sent him into a studio because he had great talent. But he was trained on the piano. He played piano from age 6, and he actually read music. But then he developed interest in other instruments, you name it. He played guitar considerably, and he would play drums. He could play a trumpet, and he had been writing these songs. So we were very excited to have such a wonderful son who was so talented and had a lot of hope for him. One of my favorite things was to take him to a music store because he wanted things like instruments, and I was proud to buy him some things, even things we couldn't afford at the time. But in any event, he made good use of everything, and he had recorded several songs. When he was 16 and 17, he was very productive, very prolific, I should say, doing songs. So when on September 8th, 2008, was to be the first day of the first full week for Justin as a senior at Yorktown High School. I'll never forget this image. It was 6:20 in the morning. His mother and sister were making breakfast. She was a freshman, and he was a senior. They were making breakfast, and I was driving to work in New York City, so I was kind of in traffic. And I had my cell phone with me, but it was on silent, so I didn't hear it when it rang. So she was making breakfast, and Justin's alarm was going off, and it was droning on. And then there was a desperate call to paramedics because Justin wasn't waking up. And that call ended in what I would call a parent's worst nightmare. Because our son, who we hoped someday would fill music venues with fans, had died. Acute drug intoxication were the words used by the medical examiner to describe Justin's cause of death. Acute drug intoxication. I tell kids, I describe it a different way. Our son died 10 feet away from our bed in the neighboring bedroom, and we didn't have a clue that he was in trouble. And
you didn't know until the autopsy revealed it, right? That there was so much.
No, we knew it. We knew it after it happened because it had all the signs, and he had some issues. But we never expected that this was going to happen, and it turned out he was out with some people we didn't know the day before, the night before, and he snorted heroin. And we don't know the timeline. We just know he went to bed. He seemed to be okay. He was doing homework. And he never woke up the next morning. So that turned our lives upside down completely. And I can't describe the feeling of what it was like, but we had to make a decision. We had to decide, what are we going to do? I mean, are we going to sweep it under the rug like some people try to do? This was in 2008. It was a little more of a stigma at that time, and we decided we would talk about what happened. We would try to figure out what happened. We would tell the world what happened and try to figure out how this could happen to our son, who was also a very good student. And I learned a lot, and I think there was a message that we were working on. My brother-in-law, who books speakers, entertainment mostly, but he talked me into doing a multimedia talk, to developing this talk. It took me a while. It was the scariest thing I ever did. And I ended up putting together, and we had focus groups, and we did all this. I put together this talk called A Message from Justin, where I could showcase his music, talk about his young life, and then tell them what happened. And then I go through the process of talking about what we tried to do to help prevent this from happening to other young people. And it's certainly not easy, because we know substance abuse and addiction is a huge problem. And for Justin, the only thing we knew that he was doing was marijuana. He was kind of drawn to marijuana. But we believe that the marijuana, and we fought battles over this. We didn't want him to do this, but he said, "Oh, it's not going to hurt me. It's not going to." And even his counselors said, "Don't worry too much about this." But it let his guard down, and he decided to experiment with other things that we didn't know about. So this is what happened. And, we decided we would talk about it, do everything we could to reach out to kids and give a message that would warn them that this could happen to anyone. So my talk, I started doing it in schools. I reached out to many, many thousands of kids, mostly in the Northeast, but as far west as Grand Rapids, Michigan, as far south as Atlanta, Georgia. A message from Justin was trying to change the culture of our young people, their attitudes, to support each other and be on the lookout for each other, to talk about things when they see an issue, take care of business and talk about it. Say, I think you're having a problem. Young people are reluctant to do that, and we're trying to change their views on that. And there are lots of little stories in the talk about things how the impact that Justin's life had on them. And then so we started a nonprofit and called the Justin Veatch Fund. You can see it website, the justinveatchfund.org. And we started doing music scholarships. So by the following September, we awarded our first music scholarship for graduating high school seniors. Mm-hmm. And since that time, we've awarded 79 scholarships.
Wow.
And I started doing talks, and we did the talks, and there's a couple of young filmmakers who were up and coming, spent 2.5 years making a film called Whispering Spirits, which tells our story and Justin's story. You can watch it. It's free, whispering-spirits.com. And this film has actually been made into a piece of work that you could share in the community. We have a discussion guide that's built into the website so you can see how to organize a program. There's a shorter version of it for classrooms, so the teacher can take a look at the talking points and bring out a nice lesson. And so I'm very pleased that we were able to do that. And these young filmmakers, they gave us the film, and we got a grant from one of our local nonprofit theater, it's a teaching theater, and we were able to distribute that film across the country. So we're proud that we have done that, along with the one that's online. It's a good thing. And I started developing a podcast myself, and it's called The Drug Crisis: Faces Behind the Struggle. And it's on a number of platforms. I've interviewed people on both sides of the issue, people who are addicted, or always an addict, of course, if you were addicted, and then people who have lost loved ones as a result of their sibling or their child's addiction. And I talked to emergency room physicians who could talk about all the issues that are coming up. We are an over-medicated society, of course, right? Yeah. And people have problems, and everybody's looking for something to make them feel good, and that's the issue. We all want to do it; it's a natural thing, and but some of these things can be overdone, and that's exactly what happens to so many folks. And I know, Tom, you know very much about this.
Yeah,
been through this too. So anyway, my life took a drastic turn, and we're happy to have the nonprofit and be awarding the scholarships. Fundraising is more of a problem these days, but we're still doing it, and so I'm happy to be there for kids. We have, and of course I wrote a book. Now I didn't know I was going to write this book. There's a whole story about the Dyer Island Boys. I could start talking about that if you want, or you want to ask me about it.
Is that an actual place, Dyer Island?
It is. It's an actual place, and it's how I got to know Dyer Island. It's a 600-acre island 2 miles off the coast of Millbridge, Maine, which is way, way up near Canada. They call it Down East Maine. And my wife's mother was a nurse in the summertime at this camp. She's a registered nurse. She was. We lost her a few years ago. But before we were married, my wife and I went up to visit, and we went to the camp. You have to take a boat to get there. There's no bridge or anything like that. And visited the camp, and I said, wow, there are all these teenage boys. It's only teenage boys and counselors. They're running the island. It's kind of like I said, Lord of the Flies? And I said, I mean, maybe something could go wrong, but they seem to be doing this, you know? And so that fascinated me. We didn't stay the night or anything, but we went back. I went back a year later, and I like to produce videos and things like that, and I wanted to do a documentary. So I brought professional gear and everything to do interviews, and I interviewed some of the people, the founding doctors, and some of the kids who were involved in the camp. And I had fully intended to do the documentary, but it never got produced. We never could fund it. And then I decided I'm going to write a screenplay. I've got the interviews. I can write a screenplay. And it took me some time to write the screenplay, one draft after another. But then in 2008, I was in another draft of the screenplay, and we lost our son. And I had to stop. I dropped it. I had no interest in writing it until about 10, 12 years later. I picked it up again. I put it in another draft, and we went to the Austin Film Festival. I entered it in the writing competition. It got into the second round, which is a big accomplishment, I'm told, but it didn't go any farther than that. And so it's one of those films that has a lot of settings, and it spans 60 years, so it's an expensive film to make. So I decided, you know what I can do without a producer? I can write the novel. And that was a whole new challenge for me, because it's not just writing the scenes. You got to write the inner thoughts. You got to fill in all the blanks on the page so you can paint a word picture of everything and the thoughts that are going on in people's mind. The characters were based on the real people that I had met at Camp Dyer. I'll call it Camp Dyer in the book, but it's actually the Berwick Boys Foundation. It's called Camp Berwick. It's a real camp. It's entering its 80th year of operation, and they're real people, real things. So the book is based, I call it historical fiction. I had to create a story, so I had to make up some characters with changed names and all that stuff. But I finally got the book done, and it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I found a publisher, and there it is. But it's a beautiful story, and I could try to sum it up for you. A couple of young doctors in 1946, New York, Roosevelt Hospital. They are surgical residents. They look at the New York Times, they see this island off the coast of Maine, a tiny island for sale almost for nothing. And they're adventure people. They're old Boy Scouts. And they wanted to go and buy the island. They bought it sight unseen. And they went up to explore it, and it was quite the adventure. But these two doctors also were big brothers in New York City. They were working with kids. A lot of the kids were troubled kids, and there was one particular kid who was always getting into trouble. And I wrote some fiction about that in the book, which intertwines around all the characters so they tie them all together, because most of the story is pretty real. But I tied this story together, and it turns out this young man that had accosted one of the doctors with a knife, robbing him, was trying to get money for his half-sister, who has been badly treated by by foster parents, and she was having health problems, and he was at the end of his rope trying to figure out how he could help her. So he said, robbery, I'll do this. And it turns out that the doctor knew his mother, the boy's mother, worked at Roosevelt Hospital as a scrub nurse. And he found out, and he said, I'm not going to drop charges. And the kid was a black kid, and it was a little bit different in 1946. His dad had died in World War II, and he lost his role model. And that's a problem for the centuries. It's always a problem. And he was trying to figure out his next steps. And he was making so many missteps, he was getting in trouble. He finally ended up, in a adolescent, a juvenile home because he was running into so much trouble. But one of the doctors talked the judge into letting this boy go up to the camp for the summer, and where they would put him to work. And here he is by himself, the two doctors. They go up to Dyer Island with all their camping gear and stuff. The doctors are only available on the weekends. So they leave him there on the island, and they come back to New York to work during the week. And this young man ends up, Harry is his name, ends up felling trees. They're going to make a cabin. He's spudding trees. He's doing all this work. And actually this works out where this young man has got motivation in his life for the first time. Not only that, he's got not only one role model, he's got two role models. And it's really turning the boy around. And that started something. So this camp this island for adventure that the doctors are going to enjoy, ends up turning into a teen camp for boys. And they developed this over the years where young teen boys come and learn skills. And they learn how to pilot a boat. They learn plumbing. They learn electricity. And they also, most importantly, learn how to be in a community and how to get along with other people. So this was an amazing story. That's based on the true story, and it's still happening. They just finished the 79th year of the real boy on time.
Man.
You have a link for that as well that you
yes, there's a link to my book. It's called Dyer Island Boys, DYER islandboys.com, and you can see the story and you can see links to the book too there. But it was a labor of love, and it's just so amazing there.
Yeah, so we got that link. We got that link up on our video feed right now. But for those who are listening on audio, it's DyerIslandBoys.com. DYERISLAND boys.com.
That's correct.
You can get this on Amazon. You have an audio version too.
Yes, on Audible. There's a link. There's a link on the website to the ebook, the soft cover, and the audiobook.
Yeah, congratulations.
Well, thank you. It was harder work than I thought, but I was happy. I was able to do the book, and it turned out. We have a nice graphic design that my publisher did for us, and I was really thrilled to get it done, and had a lot of great reaction to the book.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about Justin and the foundation and stuff like that. All right. Can you tell us a little bit more about him as a person? One of the things, let me lead into this. One of the things that the reason I wanted to do this show, and we had a conversation, me and you, that there's a lot of people out there that are doing on-the-ground work like you, like me, and funding is ridiculous. Can't get it. And everybody's affected by this. This is not, this is Park Place to Park Bench. You come from a very good neighborhood. You come from, a good career, great family, living in one of the nicest communities that I know around here. I live in local here too. And it happened to you, and it could happen to anybody, So, and I think that one of the things that is my philosophy on this. I'm 32 years in recovery. I don't know how long are you in recovery, Monty?
it'll be 28 years on September 2nd.
Wow.
And we're two fathers.
Yes.
I have a son who is active, right? Right now, I haven't spoken to him in a while. The story I wait constantly to hear if he got arrested or something happened to him, because he's in it.
Yeah.
Monty has a son as well. He's not in the world, but you had the ultimate thing that happened to you. And I believe the exact nature of this disease is not just like, kids go and use drugs. It's depression, anxiety, obesity, learning disabilities. There's all sorts of other things that cause this to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's why I want to ask you a little bit about Justin as a person.
Yeah.
What kind of person was he? What do you think caused this to happen to him?
It's hard to know. He was a very kind person, had great friends. He was his friends. Everybody was a good person around him. he was happy to be around anybody. He didn't discriminate. He was very helpful to his friends. And socially, I think, they got kind of hooked. He and his friends decided to experiment with marijuana. Alcoholism runs in our family. So we have the gene, perhaps, that I gave him that makes him more interested than casually when it comes to a substance. And I have a feeling that's what caused his interest in the marijuana. And he thought he would also maybe drink a beer or something, but he wasn't a drinker. Alcohol wasn't a thing. But when he got introduced to marijuana, that changed because he got further into it. And then there was some other recreational drugs that the kids were getting involved with. And we fought over the marijuana, but we didn't know that he was getting into other things. And that's where we felt blindsided because we couldn't see it until in his junior year of high school. He was really acting strange, and he was depressed. He was upset all the time. We really didn't know what to do for him. We had him go to a psychiatrist where he could get a medication. Perhaps we thought that would help him. But then there was a blood test, and the blood test came back with this horrific message that he was in over his head in substances and had to be hospitalized. And that's when we took him out of school in his junior year near the end. And we sent him to a rehab center, a very wonderful place in Pennsylvania, where he spent a month. And probably wasn't enough time, but we thought it was doing the trick. And he came back so much better. He was eating well. He was he changed his cell phone. He was changing his friends. We monitored his friends. We thought we were doing all the right things, and there was great hope as he was entering his senior year. But this can happen. This can happen, and you know it. Yeah. You can go right back. Something just snaps, and you try this drug again. And this happened to be heroin. And I do believe that he had been off of it, and he went back and found it, got some to buy, and it was too much for him. And he hadn't, his body was no longer acclimated to handle it. And we were totally blindsided. We didn't know that he was doing this. So, there's no, like I tell the kids, there's no do-over. There's no do-over. It's nice. I carry naloxone, Narcan in my car to this day.
Yeah.
Never knowing when we might need it.
Yeah,
I haven't.
Good for you.
One of my pet peeves in this whole thing, and you bring in the marijuana thing. Marijuana, when I was growing up, was, everybody was doing it. And they always say, it's a gateway drug. And it is. Yeah. At some level. From some people, it's worse than others. Some people can smoke for the rest of their lives, and never go past smoking. But, in today's world, it's so acceptable and it's so dangerous.
Well, the THC levels are so high. It's
crazy now.
Very powerful drug now.
It's a very powerful drug.
How you're ingesting it,
And I don't think they realize that yet, or they're. I do think they realize that now, because a lot of people. I just read an article where 22,000 kids ended up in the hospital over the last year. And that's from episodes of eating this stuff that's high THC content.
Cannabis psychosis. Psychosis, where we laughed at that back in the day, right? But people aren't laughing anymore. I want to speak to something really quick here. So you were talking about the body not being able to put up with this any longer because there had been a time of abstinence from the substance. It kind of speaks to the progressive illness of addiction, that even though we stop, and this is what a lot of folks that don't have any kind of background, they don't understand. Yeah, we stop, the body's, the way it's going to react to it, it continues. And so you don't pick up where you left off. It's worse than when you left off, But But even in the midst of my addiction, you couldn't have convinced me of that. And I think, we're talking about things that cause, trauma and depression and clinical stuff and all that. Sure, I know it contributes. But you know what? You can come from a background where, other than just the average challenges of the day, there really isn't anything going wrong. And just be curious, and it affects you in such a euphoric manner that you automatically want more.
Yeah.
And then it can grab you. And it's not necessarily because anything's wrong, but you're that one lotto number, right? And there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. And then the chemicals that are in things today change the brain chemistry.
Yes.
And now we have somebody who's depressed, somebody that is we can't figure out why they're acting so strange and so forth. The good news is, and that's why I'm so excited about the work you're doing, Jeffrey, is the good news is brain chemistry can be reversed. It can be changed. We used to think that meth addicts can never ever come back. They can. But it takes people like you, it takes people like Tommy that are willing to speak up and to offer things like scholarships and where kids can feel like they're actually being listened to and they're worthwhile and their talents are being appreciated. And it's just a marvelous thing. I just think what you're doing is...
And that goes parallel to the book I wrote, The Dire Island Boys. When they have a focus in life, they have a focus. These recreational drugs and things like that don't have the same weight as it does when they learn skills.
Amen.
When they have meaning, when they have a real role model to go by, and so these things are all important, and somehow or another we don't have enough of that in our society at times, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing that that's what we're talking about. And that's one of the things that has made me think about doing this, because I want to expose the people that are out there on the street, the front lines, not the headlines, not the sidelines, the feet on the ground people that are out there fighting the fight and having so much trouble getting funded and so much trouble being heard because some big organization that really doesn't do what we do,
right,
may be getting all the dough, all the money. There's a lot of things out here that people don't understand about addiction. And I also want to touch on, once you start drugs and once you go into that world, you are depressed, you are anxious, you are an isolator. And once you get into that mode, it's almost impossible to get out. And that's the brain change that happens when you're using. When you get off and you get yourself attached to music, and I want to ask you a little bit about the music next. When you get attached to some music and you get attached to something creative, it changes your brain back. You always have the ability to step back into that world. But I can talk about myself. It happened to me. I got into the program. I started connecting with the right people, surrounded myself, and then I started chasing my life like I chased a drug.
There you go.
And then it was different, because the passion of an addict or an addicted person is very strong. Yeah. And I was listening to your son's music, today, and it's excellent music. And what was the process for you to, how you felt about him and the music and recreating it for, that album that you did?
Well, we were always facilitating him. He had talent that I couldn't. I have no talent like he had. We bought him ProLogic for his computer, and he learned it in a flash. And he produced some of his own songs on the album Whispering Spirits. The song was totally produced and mixed right here in this basement by him on his computer, and nobody did anything to it. Some of the other songs were perhaps altered a little bit, enhanced somewhat. And then we had so my idea was to get Justin's music out onto an album, and he had a name for an album. He was going to call it Permagrin, and I said that's cool, a nice play on words. But he had 6 songs finished, 6 songs, and we said we can't not have the world hear his music. Frantically reaching out to some of the people I admired, trying to get some of the artists to cover some of his songs, and I actually reached the first one I reached with an email with Mike Kinsella. He performed as Owen singularly. He's also the front man for a band called American Football, which tours around the world. They still tour. Anyway, he listened to Justin's music and he got back to me and he said, your son is doing exactly what I was doing at his age. And, I think his music is really, really good. You don't reach people this way very often, get that kind of reaction. He says, I will cover one of his songs. And he picked one of them out. It's called ESRT Page 14, which is an odd title. Anyway, it has something to do with the radio spectrum. And so he recorded it. It took a while. And then we got other covers. There was a group in Toronto, Canada called Boys Night Out. Somehow they got wind that Owen or Mike Kinsella had covered one of Justin's songs, and they called me up and said, we want to cover the song. And I didn't know who they were. They're kind of a hard rock group, Right. But one that I found out later that it was one of Justin's favorite groups for a while. How about that? What a coincidence.
Hey, listen, guys, I want to give our listeners this. We're talking to Jeffrey Veatch. The website is the justinveatchfund.org. You can also visit direislandboys.com as well, and whispering-spirits.com. All these will be linked up at Take 12 Radio and on our YouTube feed as well. Go ahead, Jeffrey. Sorry for interrupting.
So anyway, there were other groups, some local bands that covered. One of his teachers was a music teacher in junior high, translated one of his, he's a sax player. He plays alto sax. He transposed one of Justin's songs. He wrote it for a big band, a 20-piece big band.
Wow.
They recorded it in Mount Kisco, New York, and it was just beautiful. It's included on the album. There are 13 tracks on Permagrin. So we had his 6 originals, and then we had 6 originals and covers, and it took us about a year. And we didn't know how to get it out there. Recording an album is one thing, is getting it distributed is another. I checked in with Kim Ike he's on Polyvinyl Records. So he's one of their artists. And he said, why don't you send them an email and see if they'll distribute the album for you? And I did. And guess what? They came back and said, we'll do it.
Wow.
Because on our list, we're going to send it out. And they put it into their, whatever they do to promote the album. And it ended up streaming in more than 300 countries. I mean, it's around the world. It's not a seller or anything, but it's on all the platforms. And I feel like Justin, I said, we got to make him famous for the right reasons if we can. But my pledge to him, he's gone. I can't bring him back. But my pledge was, I'm going to make you famous for the right reason.
Gosh, that's good.
And that's the other question now, when you hear that music and the way, where it's been, what it's done, where it's gone, what does that do for you? What kind of emotion does that bring to you?
Oh, it brings back emotions. And I mean, I used to listen to it all the time, and I listen to it less time now, but when I get a track out and I listen to it again, I remember it brings back everything, all of the things. I'm in a room here that has a Martin guitar, a Stratocaster. Ooh. I have these amplifiers. I have an orange amp head that's a tube amp head with a big Marshall cab below it. These are things I don't play, but I can't let them go because we're part of Justin,
Music is healing. And, I'm going to tell you my experience. You know what I do. We've talked about it.
Yep.
And we were going all over New York State and working with kids. And what we do, and when we do this, we go in there and we say, we want to talk to you about what you're going through, what's going on in your life. Yes. Because a kid can't talk about things, but they can sing about it.
Yeah.
Or they can write about it. And every kid you bump into is either drawing or writing or doing a rap, making a beat. So we try to put a show together of those things, not from people that are super talented, but from the people that aren't the super talented, that really need to express themselves.
Yeah.
And music heals.
Yeah.
Music is communication, and it heals.
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine. I can't even begin to imagine the traumatic experience that you've been through. But you just need to know this. You know, your son's passing has probably saved more lives and the experience and what this has brought about than you'll ever know. Than you'll ever know. And what, you know, we talk about people in the military and the ultimate sacrifice they make. You know what I mean? And we joke around about it on Facebook. You know, I mean, where did you graduate from? Well, the School of Hard Knocks and blah, 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 blah. But few people have given the ultimate sacrifice, whether it was accidental, intentional, or whatever, so other people could live. And what a great dad you are. I mean, just, I got to tell you, I know Justin is so stinking proud of you, man. Just,
Well,
I know I am.
we like I said, we were helpless, but we realized that we had to do something. We had to, had to send a message out to the world. In fact, we were fortunate to draw the interest of Good Morning America, the ABC television show, and they did a 6-minute piece on Justin in June. And that was
we cut out there for a minute. Can you say that again? They did a 6-minute piece?
Yeah, they did a 6-minute piece profile on what happened to Justin on Good Morning America. And that kind of also opened some windows for us, opened some doors, and one thing led to another. So, you know, it's always, you know, you just have to start out somehow. And, you know, I'm so proud of his sister Elena, who was a freshman at the time when we lost Justin. I was really worried about her because she would be going through school, and his son, I mean, her brother died of an accidental drug overdose. And that, to me, I was afraid, you know, it was going to be a stigma to her. But she joined us in talking about it and doing everything she could, you know, to help us, support us. She's on our board of directors right now. And she ended up graduating in fifth in her class at Skidmore College in upstate New York, which is a nice, very, very nice school. And she's been very successful, you know, getting good jobs and everything. And she's all very much a part of this. You can see, you know, she's in the film. She's been taking part in everything we do.
Wow.
You've given out about 60 scholarships, or 70. You said 79?
79 so far. It's getting harder to get funded, though.
Yeah, you just did one recently. I'm sorry I missed that. I had something.
Yeah, we did 6 of them at a time. We do 6 of them at a time at Yorktown Town Hall so we can have a nice program. Bring the kids in. We get a keynote speaker. We had somebody called Kenny White, who's a keyboard artist. He's a producer, music producer in New York City, and he's been traveling. He's toured. He just recently toured Denmark and the UK and around the country. And he did a nice talk, and he performed for our, you know, our little program at Yorktown Town Hall. Every year we try to do that, and sometimes we get a sponsor. You know, if we get a sponsor for one of the awards, we'll put we'll engrave their name on the award too. What we have, I wish I had one in front of me, but it's a metronome, and it's a really cute metronome it's a working metronome, and it's a German make, and it really works. And we take a picture of it and give it to the sponsors so they can put it on their wall and be proud that they've given, you know, that they sponsored this award. And we have several people that sponsored a bunch of them, so they got a wall full of these plaques.
They see the value. They see the value. The other thing is, like, you know, all these awards that you're given. I was reading on your website, you know, the kids that they go to college, they go to Berkeley, they go to these different places. So you're supporting musicians. Anybody who's, you know, being a musician, I know it's not the place you jump into and make a bunch of cash. Everybody wants to. You don't always do. You know, and this is really helping these kids get started. How do you think that carries forward his legacy?
I think it does, because it inspires people to do things. Now, Kenny White opened his talk with something. He said, He said, "Mom, I want to grow up to be a musician. Mom, I want to grow up to be a musician." And and she said, "You can't do both." But that is the
That's guys. We are running out of time. We're running out of time here. We want to make sure we have time for this closing song. Tommy, do you got a itching question for him that we can kind of wrap this up with?
Yeah, where do you see this? One of the things we talk about funding, we talk about things that, that are harder and harder to get. What do you see you going now with the fund? Do you think it's going to expand? Do you think you're going to have problems? How are you going to do that?
We are running low on money, so we're trying to do a campaign, and we're going to reach out to our past recipients and see, we've got 79 of them, see if they know people who want to pay it forward. See if you can sponsor one of these, and hopefully that'll help. We've got an email list we do. I wish the world were a better place about paying it forward. Right now it's very difficult because the federal budget is cut back so much. Things that were funded are not being funded. We just have to look for ways, and I certainly don't have the answers, but I know people are generous. The number one thing we forget to do sometimes is to ask.
Yes.
Ask. Yes. If you don't ask, they're not going to give you anything.
You receive not because you ask not.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows somebody. I used to tell people when I spoke, I said, everybody knows somebody that's been addicted or died. I said, if you think number one problem in the world is terrorism, tell me the terrorist, But if you think that how many drug addicts do you know? How many people are you 2 levels down from or 1 level down from? Everybody knows somebody. And this is a pandemic. Because the definition of a pandemic is something that hits every continent. And I got news for you. You can get high in the desert. So it's really, really available to anybody. And it's really, really difficult to beat. Wow. So we need help.
So the website, again, folks, I want to make sure that you write this down, please. First of all, DireIslandBoys.com for the book. You can get it on Amazon. It also comes in audio format. And then the JustinVeatchFund.org. You can contribute there, true, if people want to contribute financially.
And Beatch.
Yes, and we'll have it up here on our video link as well. The JustinVeatchFund.org. Listen, folks, and I tell you this all the time, no amount is too small. If you're thinking, well, I can only give $5, give $5. One thing I know is when we release, God increases. He just does. Put some faith, put some feet to your faith there. I'm going to challenge everybody to go to JustinVeatchFund.org and see what your spirit inside tells you to do.
Make a difference.
Yeah.
And thank you, and thank you, and thank you.
Absolutely. So tell us about this song that I'm going to, hopefully I get it right here. This was a song that was written to a tribute to Justin by Iverton Piano Factory and Friends.
No, that's what he called his band.
That's what he called his band. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
And was really him, but he called it's the Iverton Piano Factory, and that's him. He wrote this song.
Oh wow!
The piano riff at the beginning, by the way, is what I used to introduce my podcast.
Oh, neat.
And he loved the piano, and he plays everything on this album. But he has a drummer and he has a bass player on this track also.
Oh wow! Okay, here is Justin Veatch with "Can't Afford the Color." Wow, this is powerful.
last name? Weren't you asking when we could go back home again? And we'll go and know that we love you. And we'll go and know that we love Hey, Mom and Dad, come look at this photograph. Even though it's black and white, there was so much color in our eyes. That's what they tell us when we wait in line for soup, and we'll soar like we've never soared before, and we'll sing songs of joy, and we'll go and know that it's been so long, talking more than years since I've seen these colors, and not been drowning in tears. This side of the spectrum is so unfamiliar. You need to slow down. You need to give us a chance to make things better. We won't let you down. 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 We won't let you down.
The very talented Justin Veatch, Can't Afford the Color. Wow. Tommy, close us out, brother.
Just want to say I want to thank you, Jeff, for coming here, sharing your story and your son's music. And it's three fathers talking right here. Right?
Yeah.
You know, we get it, but we can never feel what you feel. Thank God that hasn't happened to me or Monty, but you're in our prayers constantly. Believe that, and I know you're going to do more good work.
Thank you, Monty. Appreciate you having me on and listening to my son's music and listening to our story. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So keep in touch with us, brother, and kind of let us know how things are going. We always love hearing back from people that we have on any of the shows here at Take 12 Recovery Radio, and finding out what their progress is like. I know you're going to continue to do great things, and like Tommy and I always say, it's about that one guy, the one person that gets it right. And then we can say, the good Lord can say, well done, good and faithful servant. Congratulations. Once again, the website, the JustinVeatchFund.org. Follow the links here at Take 12 Recovery Radio. All right, there it goes for another Buddha time. We're wishing.
Buddha time.
Yeah, say it again. Say it again. I love it when you
Buddha time.
Buddha time, baby. That's
baby.
right. Woohoo!
This has been a broadcast of Take 12 Recovery Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
This has been a Chicken and a Pig production.
Meow, meow, meow.